This is Top Accolade Global News Update. I am Abiodun Mohamed. Chinese President Xi Jinping has called for an expansion of the Brics grouping of emerging economies to build a more just and equitable international order, insisting hegemonism is not in China's DNA. In a speech delivered on his behalf at the start of Brics Summit in Johannesburg, South Africa on Tuesday, Xi said China had no wish to engage in great power competition or create bloc confrontation. In quote, China stands firmly on the right side of history and believes a just cause should be pursued for the common good, Xi said at a business forum, according to remarks delivered by Commerce Minister Wang Wentao. Xi said Brics would continue to grow whatever resistance there may be. It was not clear why Xi did not participate in the event, which was attended by South African President Cyril Ramaphosa, Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Xi earlier met summit host Ramaphosa, telling his counterpart their countries stood at a new historical starting point. China and Russia, both of which have been heavily sanctioned by the United States, have been keen to expand Brics to develop a counter to Western dominance over international institutions and affairs. India will make its second attempt to land on the moon on Wednesday, a mission seen as crucial to lunar exploration and the country standing as a space power just days after a similar Russian lander crashed. The Indian Space Research Organization's Chandrayaan-3 spacecraft will attempt to land on the lunar South Pole about 6:04 p.m. local time on Wednesday, less than a week after Russia's Lunar 25 mission failed. India's mission, Chandrayaan, means moon vehicle in India and Sanskrit. In 2019, ISRO's Chandrayaan-2 mission successfully deployed an orbiter, but the lander crashed. Anticipation and excitement for the landing was feverish on Wednesday, with banner headlines across newspapers and news channels running countdown timers to the landing. Prayers were held in temples, mosques, and churches in the country, and school children waved the Indian tricolor as they waited for live screenings of the landing. Zimbabweans voted on Wednesday, with many citizens desperate for change after 2 decades of relentless economic chaos, but skeptical that the ruling ZANU-PF party will allow a credible election or any loosening of its stranglehold on power. President Emerson Mnangagwa is seeking re-election after a first term during which runaway inflation, currency shortages, and sky-high unemployment made life a misery for Zimbabweans, many of whom rely on US dollar remittances from relatives abroad to make ends meet. The cash-strapped country's chances of resolving a debt crisis that prevents it from accessing World Bank and International Monetary Fund loans are at stake, as foreign lenders have said a free and fair election is a precondition for any meaningful talks on the issue. Mnangagwa, who took over when longtime strongman Robert Mugabe was toppled in a 2017 military coup, faces 10 other candidates, including his main challenger, lawyer and pastor Nelson Chamisa of the Citizens Coalition for Change (CCC). It is the second contest between the two after Mnangagwa won a closely contested poll in 2018, which the opposition alleged was rigged. The country's constitutional court upheld Mnangagwa's election. Polls opened at 7 a.m. and were due to close at 7 p.m. Some 6.6 million people are registered to vote in the nation of about 50 million. Thailand's billionaire former leader Thaksin Shinawatra was hospitalized on his first night in prison after his historic return from self-exile, officials said on Wednesday, citing concern about his heart and blood pressure. The influential founder of Thailand's populist Pheu Thai party was transferred to a police hospital overnight, 15 hours after a vaunted homecoming from 15 years abroad to avoid jail. That coincided with his political ally being elected prime minister in a parliamentary vote. The Corrections Department said the 74-year-old Thaksin was transferred in the early hours of Wednesday after being unable to sleep and experiencing chest tightness and high blood pressure on his first night in prison. Soponrat Singajaru, the senior doctor, confirmed his condition had improved since he was admitted. The representative for Thaksin declined to comment. Thaksin, a hugely popular prime minister among many voters for pro-poor policies, was ousted in a 2006 military coup and was in self-exile 2 years later when he was sentenced to jail for graft and abuse of power. Officials in Hawaii have urged residents to submit DNA samples to help in the identification of human remains found in the ashes of a fast-moving wildfire on the island of Maui that killed at least 115 people earlier this month. According to authorities, at least 1,100 people are still missing, with the Federal Bureau of Investigation (FBI) seeking family members' help in identifying the remains of the dead. The AFP reported Special Agent Stephen Merrill told reporters on Tuesday that the number of missing people was likely to rise. Investigators acknowledged the possibility that not all of the remains of victims from the fire that started on August 8 on Maui will ever be found. The tourist town of Lahaina, home to 12,000 people, was all but wiped off the map, with thousands of missing people initially appearing on lists maintained by various organizations, including the police, Red Cross, and shelters. Maui County Prosecuting Attorney Andrew Martin, tasked with heading up the Family Assistance Center, said that he has spoken with experts who have handled DNA sampling in mass casualty disasters elsewhere, and that he is seeing less willingness in Hawaii. That is the size of top accurate global news updates. You can follow us on our social media platforms as displayed on your screen. Happy midweek.